As I mentioned before, we will scan a test part. In this video it's about laser scanning, so I open the software. As I told already in the calibration video, this is the version that you should really download. It's absolutely big progress. It's 1101, it's the latest version in November. Starting a laser scan is selecting the laser scanner. This will lead to the question if you want to create a new project or open an existing project. We are going to start a new project. So let's create a project. What is important to keep in mind compared to other softwares, that EinScan software is creating some online project. That means you don't have to save the progress of your project. It means in this folder will be automatically stored your current state of the scans, orientations, laser lines, and as well targets. So you don't have to separately save it. If you will click the save button, there will be not saved a revision of the project. It's just a scan. I will be returning to that later on. So let's start it like this. This is some housing that we are scanning. In this case, let's name it laser because we will do the same in rapid scan. And let's start it. I highly recommend to use a new folder for each new project, because the saving structure will be then clear to you and you will not by accident create some data that will delete the other one. So if you want to make a second revision or some variation of the same scan, create a new folder. Each part, new folder. This is the easiest way to start out if you are not used to work with that software. Okay, so let's start it. Yes, we want to start like this. In the case of that housing, it's a cast part. There is some small details on the surface that we want to see, so we are using high details. Of course, I can go higher with the resolution, but as the cast accuracy of pressure cast, and this not even seems to be pressure cast if I take a look on the aluminum, is let's say not in the microns. We can use 0.2 as a resolution. It will be fine. I will apply that and I will be in the scanning mode. So here is the scanning settings that you will be able to adjust during the scan as well. And here is the project group. Project group is not so a common name for what it means actually. I would say project group. Each project in the project group is one view of the part, and that's why I as well will name it like this. So this is housing upside. So it will be the upside. I will have to turn the part around because I'm not able to scan it in all areas the same time because it's laying on the desk. I will not be able to look inside without turning it around, so I will already name it the right way that I will recognize it. I can import marker files if I did for example a photogrammetry scan or some other source where I have a marker coordinate system that's already existing and I want to scan some area in this one, but it's not the case right now for me. Scan point cloud, it's clear. I can scan as well with the HX, just the markers, reuse that result and scan the points around the markers later on, but this is not important in that small part here. That means here I'm just going to scan marker position, but I will not receive points. Here I'm going to scan points as well and using the markers that's on the part. These modes are really different that I can use in laser scanning in their behavior. It's really important to consider that, because it's not the same like I'm going to turn up and down the brightness on the scanner. On the back side there is interrupters where I can turn up and down the brightness, it's really changing the way how the data is processed. You will see that afterwards. You can, meanwhile scanning, change the mode, and you will have not any kind of the problems. And that means if you have composite parts that are in different condition regarding surface, for example, you have some plastic bumper of a car where there is chromed applications on it, or polished applications like metal polish or galvanized areas, you can continue scanning, just switching between, for example, reflective mode and black mode, where there is just black plastic. And for the applications that are reflective, I'm going meanwhile scanning, just click back on this one to be able to continue scanning that areas. The brightness is influencing the sensitivity of the camera. I will show that later on. And here is data settings. I will be able to adjust the sensitivity, and means I'm in this case using the most accurate result. I can go as well to let's say result where I have better capturing at any price for complicated areas, but the accuracy will be a little lower. I just don't need it for this part. It's not a reason. So starting to scan first view, there is the markers on the part. It's important to keep in mind for everybody who's absolutely new in laser scanning, that laser scanning in nearly every case till now, it's depending on markers for position the point information. That means the laser is capturing the surface, and these markers, they are like stars in the night for the sailors in former times who was using the stars for orientation. The same is for the scanner. The scanner is using that points of the markers as orientation, where to put the scanned points relatively to the rest of the information that he already have. So it's some coordination help for putting the data on the right area. So this is why we have to have markers. I recommend to have in the field of view from the scanner minimum 4, better 5 markers. And as we already prepared that part, we can already start. I just wanted to use a turntable today, but unfortunately I left it in the laboratory, so I'm going to make it somehow different. You can use newspapers, of course, they are turning on some flat surfaces. You have probably a problem in merging scans that are using the surface of the newspaper as well if you don't cut it away. So it can happen that, for example, deformation of some areas on the newspaper will influence the results. So I'm going to substitute the newspaper using some sticker kit. As it is flat, it will not have so much deformation. It will have, but it's less, and it's a bit more slippy on the backside. So for me, it's better to use it as some turntable substitute. Okay, so I'm going to point the scanner on the object. Upside, I can see here in the preview window the camera capturing. The red dots are the recognized marker points. In this case, it can happen that I will have to create more marker positions, because if I have not enough of them, it will not work, and the angle how the camera is looking to the marker points will have an influence if they will be recognized. Here, for example, you can see that I'm just seeing one marker. There is markers upside there, but as the angle of the camera is so radical to that markers, they are not recognized by the system. So the markers that are working are red. You are seeing that I'm in the preview mode, and just to give it a test how it will look like. So, and if the markers is enough or not, I will start and I will capture. As you can see, capturing is a bit problematic. I'm just stuck from time to time. I have problems surely for not putting here enough markers. As well, I would suggest in this case to go to reflective, because the part is silver. But I will not be able to avoid to stick some additional markers on the part, quite likely. Of course, I can try to come as far as I want. You see on the left side there is the distance information to the object. I am just able to scan inside the accepted distance, so if I come nearer than it's possible, system will start to tell me that I am not in the right distance. So I'm going a bit out of the part. I'm just going to scan that view with the markers that I have. I can put some additional ones for getting the site information or so. And you see that capturing with the HX is really some fluent process. The capturing rate of other cheap laser scanners is much lower, and you will really not be able to capture in the same speed. So I already captured some information. This is some preview quality, and you can see for preview quality it's fine. I have not enough markers that are visible, so I'm going to stick additional markers on them. If you buy an HX, there is coming this marker box. It's inside the box that you will receive, and there is glue sticking markers inside it. You are applying like stickers. I highly recommend not to push them too much to the surface, because they are really strong and difficult to remove. Markers are always best to apply them on surfaces that are for the function of the part and your result not too important, because they are creating areas that have no information in scanning. So if I am scanning in this area, for example, where the screw is, and I will put a marker in the thread hole, so for sure I will not be able to capture the thread hole. So first rule or first recommendation is to not put them into functional relevant areas if you have the choice, for sure. So let's see, just around should be better now. I have just a few areas left where there is no markers. Let's stick one here upside, and let's see how it's going to behave. I just didn't start again new scan view, because it's normally not necessary. I can add markers without a problem, and you will see that he is recognizing the old markers already, and he will use the new markers like he didn't see them before. So I'm going just leave the preview mode, just going to scan that areas. Right now I have here 2 more markers, that's still not so much, but it's fine for what I want to do so far. I'm just going to take that one side and finish it. If you are, let's say, bothering about markers that will cover some area, I have some trick for you that will help you to get a perfect model without any marker loss of the information. Make one marker setup, scan that area. After you finish it, take the markers of the part, all of them, so you're sure that nothing is left. Create a new view, that means project, I will show you later on how. Put the markers in different positions where you didn't have them before. Scan it again and merge that 2 views from the same views from 2 markers positions over the geometry as well will be shown later on, and you will have complete information of that areas without markers. Okay, so I'm just finished with this side. Let's suppose you will see that it will be enough. So far I'm in this case creating a point cloud. This is some preview information, and this will lead to points that are finally registered in the coordinate system. But doesn't matter, we will clean up that scan. That's the next step after doing the views. So I have that outside view. Of course I'm not able to see the inside, so I for sure have to do an inside view. So let's start a new view. Turning the part around, this will be the inside view. And like before, start to scan. You will see, as I mentioned already, upside here some information that the camera is capturing. If their lines are red, you are in the overexposed scanning situation. That means you are scanning and the cameras are not capturing information because they are overexposed. The opposite is if I'm, let's say, going to underexposed. I will show you there is the two buttons up on that scanner. I will be able to, for example, turn the brightness down. This is like minimum brightness. You see that it's still capturing fine. In this case, maybe on that polished areas it's even better because you have a big reflection in there. You see you're capturing quite fine. So for these areas it could be really useful to use that. Maybe I should have put on some more markers, I guess, because he's losing tracking here. But as well as I'm turning the brightness down, I can turn it up. You will see here in the upside brightness level that's shown, and you will see that in the camera that here everything starts to be red. So capturing isn't perfect anymore because the information that's coming to the camera is overbrightened. So just try some setup that shows you here some right areas. I don't recommend to go to the lowest brightness level because many times you are capturing not perfectly. It's better to lose some areas because of brightness and have more areas that you captured. Play around with this, you will get into that by the time. Just see what you already captured. If there is areas that is mirroring and you will not see data there, go down with the brightness. You can do several turns with different brightness levels and you see like this you are perfectly able to capture all the glossy inside areas. So right now we have the next view and that's it. Okay, so next view is finished. You see that we have captured it here, and let's go to the project group, rename it, name it inside. And right now we have outside, inside we have two shells. Just you can here show or unshow the different views that you created, and we are going to create a next one. Okay, so as we are not capturing the surrounding areas, there will be a next view needed to go as well deeper inside that fins that are here. And yeah, for tricking that, so not using a stand as I told in the beginning, this time I'm a bit bad prepared regarding help parts or turntables. I'm going to improvise it, but maybe it's useful for you to see what is possible without the perfect resources as well. So I'm not ashamed to show you how to improvise. So we are going to scan a view that will be able to connect the two shells that we are already created together. So this way we will come as well inside the pins, start the application, start the scanning. As you already learned, you can play around with the brightness. And yes, I zoomed already, so there is, I'm going to show that again, there is up and down interrupters that are able to zoom in out the view that you are scanning. It's not a zoom regarding the scanner itself. Be aware of this. It's just a zoom of the view and the center, what you are seeing inside your monitor. So you are not influencing the result of the scan like this. So I'm just scanning here and looking closer to what is interesting to me if I capture it right now. So you see that I have problems to go around the part here. It's not because I don't know it better, it's just because I want to show you some errors and show you how to resolve that. Here I'm coming to some point where on the front and in the back side I'm not able to see that necessary target. So I'm coming with the scanner. I can show you here, you can see it upside. I'm just coming here to some area where there is not enough markers visible, and if I'm turning it more, there is some point where he will not recognize enough markers at the same time. So he's stuck actually, and that's why it's not working, and that's why he's stopped recording. There is a trick actually that I use a lot of times, is apply the markers on the environment. That means I'm just using markers on the turntable, or in this case on the improvised turntable, to help me scanning. That means in this case I'm going to use some old markers that are not so sticky anymore. Yes, I'm recycling markers, I have to admit, if they are still fine. So I'm going to put them, as you can see right now, on the surface surrounding the part. Just don't do them on that areas like in a very regular, symmetric or whatever way that the positions are not clear to the systems or similar like other ones. Just really do them varying quite a lot. That makes it easier for the scanner to do it and show it. I'm just going to put the markers on in some areas where you can see that better in the cameras. Another one. Just one more, as I'm not going to remove them with a lot of stress afterwards. I don't care to use more of them. It will make me scan faster and easier. I will have not to think too much about where to put the camera to. So, okay, so I have applied quite some bunch of the markers around, and of course they have to be in some area where they are visible for the scan field. For example, if I will put them here outside of the center of the scan, the camera will not be able to capture them, they will be useless. Let's see what has changed right now. I'm going to point on the object, and you see here we are, and we have quite a lot of markers information, and I can turn the bar. He will always have enough orientation where he is, and he's not stuck right now anymore. As you can see, the effect is that I'm able to scan turning the part, even where front and back side is not too visible same time. I can see that I'm not capturing too much information right now. I have to capture all the areas, of course. I can play a little bit with the brightness. I see before that brightness in the shiny part does not have to be too high, so I'm going to turn it a bit down, capture all the different angles, so the inside of the fins will be captured as well. Okay, if I'm going too much upside down, you see that markers here again are lost, so always keep in mind that markers have to be flashing. It means that they are recognized by the system and you will be fine scanning. As well, you can see right now there is that inside area that's quite shiny and glossy, and I can scan it with the lower brightness and reflective mode really easily. So even inside here you have a hub. You can see that laser scanner is capturing really good. It's a really cool device, I got to say. I like it. Okay, so applying markers outside the object to help you is a really good way to create additional orientation for the scanner and make your life easier. Let's finish that view. Okay, so this view is finished and you can see that even in the very shiny areas I am able to capture, and there will be information. The dynamic of capturing in the scanner is really great. So okay, for making this object really complete in the information, it's important to capture as well another view, turning that part 180 degrees again. Why? Because there is a lot of different angles inside the fins and it makes it easier to capture it. As I already had time to do that, I will show you the ready result, because what I'm going to do right now will repeat itself as you already seen it before. I just want to show you what is possible over the markers around the object. For this I will finish this view. And in many cases, if you are scanning it's enough if you have some surface, or on the turntable you have markers for the scan and you don't have to apply them on the part. That as well means that you don't have to remove them. What can be really annoying if you have a complex part and you have several, I don't know, dozens of markers that you have to take off apart, it's really annoying. So if you are having a part that's not too high and you have enough positions that you can capture, always looking to the downside of the scan set, it can be really enough just to put markers on the surface that you are using as ground. So just for a very short example, I'm just using here the power supply, and you see there is no parts marked on the power supply. This power supply is even black, so you will see capturing is more or less difficult without spraying, and in some traditional scanners it would be nearly impossible. With the HX, even in the reflective mode you are capturing, but of course you don't use it as reflective. You are switching right now, meanwhile scanning into the black mode, and you see upside, like I shown you before, right now no red overexposed areas, so I'm going to turn up the brightness. And you see already around the cable that capturing is getting quite better, and right now you already see the first overexposed areas on the power supply So it means you are reached some reasonable level for capturing, and you are able to capture black surfaces without applying additional markers. And then you see as well that the areas that are not seen by the cameras both in the same time are difficult to capture. In this case it's for the areas that are near the ground. I would have to turn that part anyway to be able to capture the downside areas, but I don't want to scan the power supply. I just wanted to show you can capture black areas without a big problem, even without applying anything on the scan object. If you have to turn the scanner very much to scan some perpendicular surfaces, there can be a need for additional markers that are visible in the moment when you are turning the scanner. It can as well be a problem if there is no space for the cameras to capture, but you are able to do this after some few scans. You will have a feeling after some first examples where to apply and where not, and so on. That's just a question of time. You have now all the basics you need to understand.